Hi everyone, welcome to our live today. We have our Quilt Chit Chat here. I'm Jodi Barrows with The Square and a Square. Welcome. We're going to do some demos and look at some quilts and tell you about some exciting things that we have going on that we want you to come and join. I have my good friends Kay and Kathy here with me, and they are here in the spring each year because they come and we do filming for our Quilt Club Week. And we're going to be talking about Quilt Club Week, about the new things that we're going to have in 2025 and the things that we have filmed from years past. We started Quilt Club Week in 2020 during the pandemic when nobody could go anywhere, and everyone has loved the online fun so much that we have continued to do it. So when you come in and join Quilt Club Week, you can join anytime that you want. And so if you join like today or this week, you can go in and watch 2020 and 2021 and 22 and 23 and 24 and then be all caught up and ready for 25. Now, each of us have kind of our own specialty thing that we do. Quilt Club Week is when I invite other fun and talented people to come and join us, and we just really immerse ourselves for a week. So I always tell everybody that, you know, when you go to a quilt show, what do? You look for new items,
yes,
inspiration, new techniques,
fabrics,
fabrics,
yeah.
and fun projects. And just to make your quilting world fun and exciting, and have some fun learning some new things. So Quilt Club Week each year, the new stuff, it's the last week of September. So building up through the summer and into August. As it gets closer, we just keep doing more and more and more and more lives so that people will know about it and get excited and come join in for that week. So for that week, each day we have new classes that are videoed, and then I do live sessions each day of that week. So we have some of the quilts and projects for you that you can see, and of course more stuff will be added as we progress on with time. And some of the projects are already on the website where you can see the patterns and get the kits. And we have a special for the month of April where if you order $65, then you get free shipping in the U.S. If you're outside the U.S., then he kind of prorates it and you still get some special on your shipping, but it just depends on your package and where you're at and all that, and he'll work with you on it. And it's just fun, isn't it? It's just fun and exciting.
We have a blast.
It is fun.
So in years past, you have taught, your specialty is
machine quilting on a domestic tabletop machine. I've been doing it for 20 years, so I'm very comfortable with it. And in 2020, when we started, I did a lot of the basic things, and I talked about threads and specialty threads. I talked about
marking, stencils.
Marking and stencils, yeah. It may not have been in that particular. Each year I have added different things to it, but there is a basic machine quilting how to do in the 2020.
And you tell them about how to set up their machine, the different supplies they need.
Yes, things like that, yeah. So in each year, in fact, sometimes I'll do a whole quilt, sometimes I'll just do a practice. Like I think I have stencils in a particular segment, and I'm trying to think what I've got something new this year that we'll talk about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it and stuff. So I'm really excited about that one this year. I think it'll be fun.
But in that one of 2020, you had a special on a whole little program on specialty threads.
I did.
And this year you're doing some of those specialty threads in your quilt. So I think it's important.
Yes, it's a hands-on thing so that you'll know exactly, you know.
So I think it's important for them to go and watch that.
Absolutely, the first one, yeah,
and then be ready for this year.
Yeah, because you know you'll see, and if I make a mistake or you know something goes wrong, you'll see that and how to correct it and stuff.
And that's important because not everything's always
it's
great the first time that when we do it, especially when we're learning.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I really encourage in all of my teaching and my videos is to just keep trying. That we have a quilt text hotline that anybody can use. It's 817-713-2879, and on that hotline you can ask for any of the help that you need. And you can send me pictures and videos, and I can send you pictures and videos. I did 3 or 4 little videos this morning for a lady before we even got started. She had some questions about the ruler and the trimming, and she's ready to perfect and improve and move on. And so she was asking for that help. So even though no matter where you're at on the earth, you have access to a teacher that can help you and can see your work just like if we were standing right there with you. And I like that because
which is excellent, because I don't know anybody else that has that.
No, that has basically 24/7
access
to
you.
a teacher.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because usually you go in person and take a class, and when class is over, it's over.
It's over.
There's no video to go back and watch.
Right.
There's no teacher to go back and ask a question to. And so I really love our technology that we have and the ability to help people anywhere, anytime with it. And I love getting them. Don't think you're bothering me. I love helping you. In fact, we've talked about that this weekend, about how I really do love and enjoy encouraging
That's what you like,
and helping.
That's your passion.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
It's helping.
I want to encourage you that you can do it and push you to improve and be creative. And I really have seen that in the students, really in the last 18 months.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
just-
amazing the things I see on Facebook and Square to
and
Square.
I
It's
got
just,
some testimonies we're going to read from some of them, because I think when you can hear actually from the students themselves and not just me or the teachers talking about it, it holds so much weight on it. And
really
we've been
does.
doing a lot of new reels on all the different platforms. And, you know, some of them you have 30 seconds, and when you get 1,000 people following you, then they let you have 60 seconds. And so come and join the TikTok and the Instagram, because the more people join, the longer time we have to teach on those platforms. And some of the people are like, well, this video isn't long enough. Well, the video's longer. It's just that the platform cuts it off, because that's all you have until you get a big enough following that they'll give you more time. Yeah.
Right.
So in Quilt Club Week, you like to teach. What are some of the little
I
things?
just like to teach little, I don't know, little
crafty
type things.
Fun sewing, crafty
sewing
projects
things that
and
you
stuff.
can get done in a short period of time. Little gifty things for your friends. Coasters. I mean,
you do shortcuts. Tips.
Shortcuts, tips. Organization.
Oh, yeah, you've done a lot of that.
In the past, we've done a lot of organization on how to organize your fabrics and your stash, and I'm just a little bit of everything.
She's a jack of all trades.
She
is
really
what
is.
you are.
Yeah.
She does everything.
Was a home ec teacher.
And well.
Had drapery business to the stars in Nashville. And both of the ladies have owned quilt shops and taught and traveled and lectured with guilds. So we really have a lot of talent that we bring into Quilt Club Week, and fun. These two girls are fun. We went to have dinner last night and sat outside. It was a beautiful evening here in Texas, and we laughed and laughed, and then we came back to the house and we sat out on the patio and laughed for another hour. And they're just a lot of fun, and we've got some really cool bloopers that Steve's going to add this year. That
I think we need to.
Is this where we
need
say
to
our
see
disclaimer? You know, all of our videos for Quilt Club Week, bear with us. It was all unpracticed. You see the true selves come out.
But I think
And
that's
if we
important.
make a mistake, oh, okay, what did I do? And we just go back and we continue on, because we're just like you. You know, if I shake a little bit, then, you know, that may be you too.
Well, and I know that
And
I
that's
have a
it.
lot of students that struggle with some of that. And I think it's encouraging to them to know that I've got some type of disorder that I struggle with, but so does my teacher. She feels my pain on that, but she's not stopping. She's moving forward with it.
And I say something that's not absolutely correct, and then I have to repeat it or go back and say, no, I didn't mean that.
So it's a lot of fun with these girls, and we've known each other for almost 25 years now. And they've traveled with quilt shows and have all kinds of funny stories. And I've traveled for over 30 years with quilt shows and have so many funny stories. And they come at this time of the year to film so that we can get everything ready for September. But we also have our quilt retreat. So you can see our T-shirts, our smoke and needle T-shirts. So our quilt retreat starts on Monday and goes to Friday. So you can get information on that on our website. It's squareandasquare.com is our main website with products and information. And then we also have a teaching website, which is squareandasquare.net, and there's a section that has our free webinars in it. That's also where our Quilt Club Week is at, which is a subscription club, and then we also have our premium club that we'll talk about here in a little bit too. And you can just go to those areas and those websites no matter where you're at, no matter what time zone you're on, and go in and watch and have fun and learn and get inspiration no matter what level you're at and no matter which one you're a part of.
And you have a lot of it free.
Oh my gosh,
a lot
of it is free. Yeah. And since we've been doing it for so many years now, there's so much content in there. You can just cancel all your other TV and just watch that.
Those videos.
And just learn and have fun. Now, when you guys closed your shop, you got a long arm.
Long arm.
So tell us about that.
Well, I always said I would never machine quilt because that's, to me, on the domestic machine, it's kind of like rubbing your tummy and rubbing your head. I could never.
Patting your head.
Yeah, whatever.
She's not coordinated.
I'm not coordinated to move the fabric and figure out what I'm doing because that's just not there. So I had a friend and she was going to sell her long arm. It's just a Gamble Classic Plus. No bells, no whistles. It's just all manually done. And we got it, and I bought it, and it's a 12-foot long machine. And when we got it and we brought it over, well, we couldn't get it up the stairs because it wouldn't. Yeah, because of bend. So we had to pull it up through the window.
Second floor
window above the garage.
So where there's a will, there's a way.
There's a will, there's a way. And when I moved 2 years ago almost, we had to do the same thing. And our movers were different from the first ones. And they looked at it when they came to see, and they're going, how are we getting this out? Well, out through the window,
How
we're putting it. Okay, you put ladders and everybody, and we got people up there and people down here. And I mean, it was quite comical to
we should have videoed it.
Yes, I know. I did do a little bit of it, but it was very comical. But I really am enjoying it.
And I've
learned so much on doing it.
And she's good at it too.
She is. We're going to look at these two quilts. In fact,
what did I tell you?
I know.
Accept the compliment.
It's true. Yes.
And you're learning to use the rulers.
And I learned to use the rulers and stencils and pounce and all of that. And so, I mean, it's a learning experience. There's times when I can't remember what I did at the top and what I need to do at the bottom, but I roll it up and take a picture because I can't remember by the time
you get to the bottom. Yeah.
But we have
you learned from that.
Yeah, we have the access with our smartphones now to take pictures of whatever. So even in our video today, you can screenshot if you're watching with your smartphone or a tablet or iPad a certain spot so that you can have that reference, the picture in your phone that you can delete or you can print it out and have it. So make sure you use that resource.
Yes.
Now, we're going to talk about these two quilts behind us while we're talking about machine quilting and Kay. So in our premium club, that is like our overall master club all year long. And we do a fall semester, we do a spring semester, and then Quilt Club Week is a part of it. It's included in it. So it's kind of like the one that if your subscription is for that one, you get everything added. Also with your premium club, each Monday when we teach, you have patterns that you download. It's all included in there. And I was adding up the patterns that you get in a semester, and really just those patterns pays for your whole club.
Yes.
If you were going to buy patterns, you would spend more than what you pay for the club.
Absolutely, because patterns are going between, most of them are at least 12 to $14.
Yeah,
for
and
one
even
single
18
pattern.
and 20 for
Yes.
some. And some of these patterns that, you know, have each, it's not just a repetition of a block and how to put a quilt together. So some of these that have, you know, kind of like a sampler form, you're going to pay $30 or more for that pattern that has a lot in it.
Yeah.
And so each semester it's built around what you're going to teach, and then we have a project that helps you learn all of that. So these two quilts were the quilts that I made for that semester of class, and I really have been wanting to teach creativity to the students, and I'm like, how can you do that and do it online, you know? But what I have seen from the students in the last 18 months, they are learning the creativity. So I show them whatever it is that we're doing, and then I tell them, here are different ways that you can be creative. Think about this, think about that, and so on. So these two quilts are the same, and Kay quilted them and did the binding for me, and I'll let her talk about the quilting here in just a minute. But I want you to see that the quilts are similar, but there is a difference to them. And really the only difference is I want you to look here at this block, and in the corners we use this little 9 patch that circles around in the star. And on this one we did not. You have just your plain squares there. Now the other difference, because this one has a lot, it looks like it has a lot of background and openness in it, but the only difference is that 9 patch in the corner, and then on, I don't know, we probably can't see it, but in the corners of the quilt are log cabins. Let's see, Kathy, if you can help hold this up.
Sure.
So I talked to them about how you can do your log cabins different and in your placement to get a different look. So this one here, just the way that we turned the log cabins, it looks like you have more background in it. And then in this one, because we use scrappies for our lights and stuff, it looks like you have less background in it. But Kay, tell us about the quilting and how you decided, and just some different comments.
Wow. Well, I always hear Kathy, oh, look at these large empty spots, you know, the backgrounds. What can I do there? So I go to my stencils that I have, and I found one that I kind of like. It's kind of a little flowery thing, and sometimes I kind of modify my stencils because I need to come in and go around.
Make more space.
Yeah.
Or fill in more space.
Less starts and stops.
Yeah.
Also, I change colors. So when I did this, I probably started with the lighter background first, because whatever is the most I'm going to quilt on is where I start if I'm changing colors. Because I don't stop and change a color to do another one, I go through the whole quilt with all the light backgrounds, and then I come back and change. So, I knew that's kind of where that was, and I thought, okay, we got loops. I like to do little loop-de-loops and just kind of, simple things.
Fill it in.
Just kind of fill it in. I don't do heavy quilting.
I don't like
you
heavy
don't
quilting.
like heavy quilting. So I just do some simple circles.
Look at these.
And
kind of a curly, and then back over and curly. And
if you look, they're probably not all going the same way when they go, because
but
sometimes
I think that's
forget,
okay.
It doesn't
did
matter.
I go right or did I go left? And so I just kind of, a lot of times just kind of wing it.
And then this one, tell us about this one.
And this one was, to me, it was more, you didn't see the background as much. So I just used one color thread, and as I was stitching it, I thought, oh no, it's going to really show a lot more on the lights than what it is on the darks. But once it's like looking at something right in front of your nose. You're going to see your mistakes, you're going to see it, and with the lights that I have, it popped out. But once I took it off the machine, then it was like, oh, okay, I like this.
But was this mistake something that was detrimental to the quilt, or was it just something that you were like, oh, I wished I would have done that?
Well,
so it's really not a mistake.
No, it's not a mistake.
Yeah, it doesn't mess up the beauty or compromise the integrity of the quilt.
Right. No.
It looks like you did a number of linear. Did you use a ruler?
Yes, I used a ruler on these.
Yeah.
You know, going up, and I marked my increments because I can't remember.
I like that little V in
so
there.
I thought, oh, that's a little V a lot of times. Oh,
so you just place
it. See, there's one that I forgot to put.
Don't point out your mistakes. So you use a dot here or something? You put a dot in? Oh, that's pretty.
Yes.
I like that.
Yes. Yes, I did. And then I even drew a line straight through these so I could make sure that my circles that I were in, that I was in.
And those are pretty big geese, so it's good to have it. Have it quilted in that spot too.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed.
And a lot of these are just the 1/4 inch away.
What's the question? Bev says, what year was this quilt introduced? This was last fall. This is Fly Me to the Stars, and this is the one that we did fall of 24.
In quilt,
in premium.
In premium
in
club.
premium club, yeah. And I think there's 9 or 10. Our fall classes have about 9 or 10 Mondays in the semester, and then our spring classes we have anywhere from 10 to 15 Mondays. So we usually do a more in-depth project in the spring because we have more classes than in the fall. And I'll show you another one underneath here. Well, let's just go ahead and pull.
Well, let me, the borders, because this, you did a great job because you put like a stripe. So I just followed the lines on the border.
I always say, let the fabric do the work for you.
You know, I didn't mark anything. I probably did use a ruler to kind of keep my line straight most of the time. You know, there's a few bumps along the road, and then, you know, we finish it off with our shortcut binding tool. And I always...
So tell them about the shortcut binding tool. And a lot of what the girls are doing to help me while they're here is how many quilts are we doing bindings on?
I think 6.
Maybe 8.
7,
6,
8.
8.
Yeah.
I don't know. We haven't counted. We don't want to.
We don't want to know.
We're just doing them.
In between our filming of a morning and evening, and even a little bit this morning, you know, we're cutting the strips and sew them together and doing our flange. And there's a great video in Quilt Club Week, and I think in the webinars on YouTube that talk about the shortcut binding tool. But the reason why it's wonderful is because
well, we cut 2 strips and we sew them together. One's a binding, one's a flange. They're 2 different sizes. We sew them together, press them, and then we stitch.
Attach them with one piece. It's one piece.
It's all one piece. It's like a regular binding. We stitch it to the back, we pull it to the front, and we machine stitch in the ditch on top of that little flange.
It makes a beautiful binding.
Yeah,
I mean, every one of these, to me, a quilt isn't finished now without a flange. And even in my kits, there's fabric in there for the flange.
To do the flange?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also puts your tails together. You know, we did it so simple because we always had customers. I can't put my tails together. I can't put my tails together. So, you know, if you know your left from your right and your top from your bottom, you can put your tails together. And even if you like to do the traditional way of binding, use the tool to put your tails together because it's so much simpler. You know, it's a no-brainer.
So the ruler has the measurements for the flange and for the binding. 2 different strips, so you can do 2 different colors.
Yep.
You sew them together. You can do the mitered edges, put the tails together.
Yes.
It's just wonderful. I love it. I love it. And I started binding not too long ago and thought, oh, I just don't have time to do all that. And so I just did one binding on it. And I was like, I want to cut it off and do it over because it just doesn't have that professional spark to it that they have.
It's just a pop of color.
You know, you don't need a big green border in here.
No.
You know, you don't need to add any more to it because they're huge.
Right.
And but you get the color on it. And then poke this one out. This one we did just a little dab of the rusty red on it. And so these 2 quilts are Fly Me to the Stars, and they were the fall classes of 2024. So we started doing...
Did you want to take one? We started...
Yeah, we're going to show this one here in just a minute. So we'll just pull that corner up.
Oh, okay.
Like this so they can see a little bit of it. Okay, I'll let you hold it. So we we started doing this back in like 16 of doing the online classes and doing Premium Club. So when you join, you have access to all 18 semesters. I think there's 18 semesters in there. There's technique sections, there's beginning sections, there's projects sessions in there. You can just watch and watch and watch. And you know, the testimonies that I get from the students, and you know, they're like, I've been doing this for 10 years or whatever, and I'm still learning different things in the different videos that you're doing. But this one down here, Kay quilted also, and it's just one of my favorite quilts. When I got it in the mail when she finished with it several months ago, and I was just like, this is absolutely one of my most favorite quilts. But here you can see the binding with the little red flange, and then her just awesome quilting in it. And this one I think was probably about 70 by 70 or 60 by 60. So these, a couple of the ones we have are big ones, some are medium. And then this semester, we've had, every Monday has been a different project. So you've gotten like 12 or more different blocks, different quilts that you can do.
What size are those?
This one quilt is, it's probably like 90 by,
yeah, I think it was
it's
like,
a big one. I don't,
98 by 110?
No, I think it's like 80 by, I want to say 80 by 98 or something like that.
yeah, it's a big queen,
It
a
is
small
big,
king.
because when I put that on the machine, it was like,
It took it all
holy.
up.
Yep.
So it's, that's 60, and then let's, then what is it from there? Another
20
20
inches, so it's 80.
So I think
80, I think it's like 80 by 98 or something like that.
Yeah, so it's a big queen. In fact, queen batting won't work.
No.
You couldn't buy a queen bat.
I think
for
I probably had a 96-inch piece of batting, and it just fit on it.
And if you're on the Facebook page, you can go back through the photos and the classes on Facebook. You can see a lot of the versions of what the students have made. And even on this one, all of the different colors and stuff that the students used for Crossroad. I guess this way is better. I mean, there's orange ones, there's purple ones, there's pink ones,
there's bright ones,
To see all the different
pastel
colors.
ones. They're just awesome.
And it inspires me. I mean, to go and go, oh, I really
Yeah.
want to make that quilt.
Yeah,
I wanna
and
do
you know,
that.
your colors may not be these colors, but boy, I look at the Facebook and there's bright ones and
Yeah. So this is a little note that came from one of them. She says, now I have stepped my game up from accomplishing the scant fourth of an inch to being very particular with my points and seams. I now strive for that perfection to win the blue ribbon. I took the dare and made 2 king-size quilts. So I think she made 2 of these. One in the Paradise fabric, and so for those of you that don't know, I designed my own fabric, and you can go to the website and see those. So one from the Paradise fabric, and then one from Kansas Troubles. And she said, and the lessons I have learned are changing my quilt life. She said, I truly am grateful for the creativity you have installed in me for a lifetime. So
that's great.
It is.
really a great one. And then this one says, I have had the original ruler. So we're going to talk about the ruler and the system here in just a minute. And she said, I've had the original ruler for about 15 years, and this is my first quilt I've made with it. I have to say I have really enjoyed the process, and I will be using it in the future along with the great videos. I only wish I had started sooner. And that's probably the thing that over the 40 years we have heard more than anything is that I wished I'd started sooner, or I've had the ruler, I wished I would have learned it back then instead of waiting.
Yes. We always, when we did shows, that's what we demoed, was the ruler, and people would keep coming back. They'd buy it because it was really,
it looks
we did
great,
a great job of video of
showing them,
demoing. Then
And
they'd come
back
back
then
the
we didn't
next
have
year.
all the videos for people to see. Now they can.
And they'd come back the next year and say, well, I bought the ruler last year, and I haven't used it. Can you show me again? And I always ask them, have you taken it out of the package?
You're not
And
going to
they
learn
would
it.
go, well, no. I said, well, I think that's the first place you need to start. And start with the little constellation quilt in there, and just start start.
Yeah.
Just start.
And in Quilt Club Week, we filmed a little video on the constellation.
Yes.
And we're going to trim some blocks here in just a second and show you just how easy it is to get started and make it. But we have a special going till the end of April where you can get the reference book, which is the main book. We'll tell you about it here in just a minute. And you can choose one of the rulers, whether the mini or the original. So Katie, you want to tell us about these?
Oh, well, this is my Bible.
Let's put it down, and Steve will put the camera here. This is your Bible.
This is my Bible. I had it spiral bound. I took it to Staples and had, because I'm always using it.
It's a reference book.
It's my reference book.
And you want it open.
And I wanted to be able to open it. You have to crease it, but I wanted to be able to open it. And it has all these wonderful patterns and charts. If my size that I'm wanting to make is not in the charts, then I change my size. I don't try to do my size. I change the size that's in the chart.
But every size is there that you want.
Yes. And if it's not, it's because Jodi has a reason, because it's an odd measurement or it doesn't quite fit. It's so, I just don't change the wheel. But it has so much information and all the quilts that's in here.
Here's putting a quilt on a diagonal
setting, and all your measurements that you need to cut your setting triangles and your corner triangles.
And we have 2 videos in Quilt Club Week where we talk about diagonal settings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And she even kind of shows you, a little bit of her binding, her way of doing the binding, and just starting out with basics.
You can still look at this and use the tool.
Yes.
It's
absolutely.
Yeah, the tool just enhances this.
Yes.
Or this enhances the tool. Yeah.
And she goes through each step, each option. And when we first started, we did a booklet that had all those options that we could refer back to.
We call that the option overview book, and you can go to the webinars in the pre-part of Quilt Club Week in 2023. We went through all 15 of the options so that you can make your book and learn the options. So you go in there and watch that right now. It's in the free webinars. It's in the Quilt Club Week for the past. Everybody can go see it. And a lot of the reels that we've been putting on this year are just snippets from that. It maybe was an hour-long video, but we're showing 90 seconds of it in little clips, and we're moving on. We are doing it in order of the process. So you can soak up just a little bit at one time.
Yeah. So it goes through all the charts, the option sizings, variations, how to attach a plain block to an option 1.
And some of these advanced charts that I say they're advanced not because they're harder, but we're just showing you more. A lot of the new options, we're up to 50 options now. You come back in and use some of these charts that have been in the book for 15 years.
Yep. Pattern adaptation, we do that a lot. Measurements, how many squares you can get out of a strip. I mean, there is so much information. Then it goes into I don't know how many quilts are
over
in here.
30, 35.
30 quilts, okay.
And some of them have multiple block sizes, so over 50 sizes of blocks.
And sometimes just like this little one, this chain of hearts, it's a 21 by 21.
Just an easy one to get going.
Easy one to get started. Easy one. Make it into a children's quilt. If you need a baby quilt, that's a great size for a little baby quilt.
Or seasonal. Or you want a seasonal quilt.
Yeah, a table runner.
So let's tell them about the 2 rulers.
And the 2 rulers, we started out with this one. It's the basic one. It has your 90 degrees, because that's what we work with, the 60 and 120. And I love it. That's where...
We call it the original.
The original one. And this is a little mini one. It's the same version except in a smaller form. And it does have some other...
it's got the 4-inch corner square.
4-inch corner squares on it, but it still has all your measurements. And I'm kind of old school, so I've always been using this. But Jodi's given me the challenge, me and Kathy, and we're going to go home and we're going to work with our little... Our smaller ruler.
And this one has something it has a quilt to do. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not as if it's just construct
5 options, 21 blocks, and 6 patterns.
Yeah, so it's not as if you can't make anything with just the ruler.
Right.
And then I'm assuming this one has one too.
Yes, this one's got 4 options, 7 patterns, and 4 mini blocks.
Yeah, so that's a deal in itself. It's not just the ruler.
Right.
And you look at it and
you
go,
got a
okay,
book.
what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, when I did this, almost 40 years ago, so many of the specialty tools were starting to come out at that time, and they had either just one little pamphlet or page of instructions and nothing else in it, and I was like, I don't want that. I want them to be able to just get a ruler and get started with it and get their feet wet, and then when they want to learn more, then go in. But the reference book, oh my gosh, for the special of $65 for both of these, you're saving
really,
$5.
I don't think your prices have gone up very much in the 30 years or 25 plus years that I've been doing. Pretty much the same.
And
I mean,
through all of the oil crisis and everything, all the plastic and everything went up so much, and we were like, no, we're not doing it.
And you can't get that for $65. What all you get here?
Well, you could sew with these 2 things from now till Jesus comes and not run out of out of stuff and ideas for people to do. Okay, let's show them how we're going to do some trimming. Okay. So we're going to do the main options. When you learn these, then all of the other options just flow off of these. So everything starts out with a basic square in the middle, strips on the side, and you can use any size and any color, and the way you trim them up, you're going to get all these different triangle units. There's only 2 ways to trim, so it's not like you've got 50 different things to learn on the ruler. You're either going to leave the 1/4 of an inch, or you're going to trim up sharp, and we call that the 2-step. So let's go in and show them how to trim leaving the 1/4 of an inch. So you just start cutting and I'll talk. Okay. So you're going to put the 90 right in the corner or the tip of that square. Your black lines go right over the seam, and you have a grid line that goes right through the point. Now, we suggest that you go to the opposite side and trim, because your eye associates a parallel better than a 90, and so you can tell if you're keeping it all square and true and straight underneath. So as you go around, make sure you keep it square, and of course you've got to make sure that seam allowance is correct off of that point. So you just keep trimming all 4 corners until you get it complete. Now you see these little scraps over here she's trimming off. I can't tell you over the 40 years how much grief I've gotten from people saying you're wasting fabric. Well, first of all, I'm saying you're looking at this and your cup is half empty, instead of looking at this and looking at your cup more than half full. But if these are a reasonable size and you want, you can go back. Let's look at these up here. Let's move out. And I want you to look at these. These are the same as what we started with here. It doesn't have to be a strip. You can take all these little funky pieces that you trim off and sew them on the side and trim them up into any of the options. You can use the charts to help you. And we've got a lot of videos, where we go in. And so there's, in Quilt Club Week, there's actually, I think 2 different quilts that I'm going to show you about how I made the big quilt. I took my leftover pieces and actually created the hen house book just from trim offs and scraps. People are like, what do? We need charts, we need help. So we made a little hen house book, which you can go back and look at stuff on YouTube and all that and see some of the hen house has stuff, and in the webinars where we just went back and made beautiful quilts just out of our scraps. And I have a new video that I'll be doing for Quilt Club Week this year that just talks about scraps, about not only keeping them organized, because that's the first step. If you don't have them organized, they're not easy and fun to work with. So how to keep them organized, and then how to have thoughts in your head of what I want to make with these scraps, and start the process and the organization. And as you add scraps, then you add to the quilt. So I've got one quilt I'm going to show. It took me 18 months to do it, because I just kept sewing and getting more scraps and sewing and doing it. Okay, so that's the option 1, the square in a square right here. So I'm not going to show option 2, but you just sew around it again, trim it up the same way, and your square just multiplies with more triangles, more triangles, more triangles. And then the next one is flying geese. So in flying geese, we're going to trim leaving the 1/4 of an inch on 2 sides, just like we did here on all 4. But on the other 2 opposite sides, we do the 2-step. Now this is another one in all these little reels that I've been doing. People are like, you're losing your points. You're not going to have them where they're supposed to be. But we're creating a seam allowance in here where we didn't have one. And we're moving the point so that we'll get that sharp point when we sew it back in our quilt. So when you cut it in half through that sharp step and you come back and you sew a 1/4 and a 1/4, your point is right there exactly where it needs to be. Now, over the years, like, you know, we'd go to Houston and we'd have a demo table set up and people would say, you know, oh, this isn't, you know, you're trimming it wrong, you're losing your points and everything. And with these reels, it's brought me back to 40 years ago of all these people who have never seen it before. And, you know, they're asking the same questions that were asked 40 years ago. And back then, and I don't mean this to be rude or sassy, but I'm really trying to figure out why people struggled with that 2-step so much and just couldn't get it, and that even when they saw the block, the flying goose block, it didn't register that it was correct, you know. And I finally just kind of said to myself, of course I didn't say it to anybody, and please don't take it sassy, but I finally said to myself, their flying geese look so bad, they don't even know what a good one is supposed to look like. So, because they always just are flat and smooth and square, and your points are where they're supposed to be. So let's show the 2-step trim. So let's get this one. And so you just start cutting, and I'll talk. So you're going to trim 2 opposite sides with the 90, and you're going to line it up just like we did. No, the 90 first.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, I did it. You just told me to go. So
well, the reason why when I teach it, I tell people to do the 90 because they know, because we did it. So we're starting out with what they know, instead of adding the new trim. So go ahead and cut.
And what?
Oh, you want me to cut the?
Cut.
Okay. And what we do too a lot of times is if you're cutting, trimming several, maybe you have 10.
Right. You have
do
a whole
them
stack.
all with the 90 degrees first on the 2 opposite sides.
Exactly.
Each one of them.
Yeah. So
it switch back and forth.
If your pattern has 20 of these that you're making, do the 90 on the 2 opposite sides. Set it over here. Pick up the next one. Do the 90. Set it over here. Because we're going to trim these other 2 sides right up to the tip.
Oh, okay. I thought you were doing that one.
No.
Okay.
And
90.
We don't want to mess up, because on this one, if you mess it up, it's hard to fix it. Okay.
Yes.
So now we're going to do the 2-step where it goes down. So that we can, 1, 2. And you want the tip of the line right in the tip of that square, the line right over the seam, and see how you have a new grid line that goes through. That way you know you're staying square. Of course, look where you've already cut. Make sure it's staying square.
I moved it.
And make your cut. There you go. Now you're going to do the opposite side. And it's going to look like this with your sharp trim on 2, which will be your points here, your 1/4 of an inch, which will be here. So when you come back in and sew, it'll be right where it needs to be.
And you can do, I'm a lefty, so I do it these lines.
Yes.
You can come over and do the
either
other
side.
lines. And
Left
we
or
call
right.
it the Texas 2-step. And
Texas
that way a lot
2-step.
of people think that that's an easier way to remember.
Well, the reason why I started calling it the 2-step is that I would be in class, you know, and I'd have 20 students, and a lady over there would holler and say, now I trimmed this like this. Well, I couldn't tell by the words and the vocabulary if she was really trimming it the way that it was supposed to. So that's when I came up with the name of leave the 1/4 of an inch and 2-step. So I would say, are you 2-stepping sharp, you know? And then she'd be like, oh no, you know, or yes, you know. And so, okay, so now you're going to cut in half through that 2-step. And we have 2 perfect flying geese. So you can do your traditional geese all headed north. They're, you know, sometimes if you do, you know, flying geese other ways, you may have some going northeast and some going northwest and some headed north. But with this, they're all square and flat and smooth. And I love it when I pick up my pieces and I start sewing them together. I have no dog ears. I don't have papers to peel or buy. I'm not sewing on paper. I'm not having to do a messy process.
They're done and ready to go.
Just perfect, yeah. And of course, stars are my #1. In fact, this is why I came up with the square and a square system. Was I loved little stars. I loved to have square triangles. and I just could not get that perfection and speed that I wanted. And so I just kept working, and I thought, how can I remove the human element of the cutting and the sewing and the pressing and still make a quilt? So the human does all the work in this basic square of the cutting, sewing, and pressing. Then you trim it up, and as you trim it up, you can improve if there's a mistake. You know where and how to do that, and we get into that in the club about when your stuff isn't turning out the way that you want it to, what to do. So Joyce says, I struggle with square and a square. So first of all, are you just talking about a normal square and a square that's thrown out there in the quilt world? You know, this is, if you try to make this, in the normal quilt world, let me tell you, and this is probably what I think she's talking about. To get a nice square and a square is, so the human element, you've got to cut a perfect square, you've got to cut a perfect triangle. You got to match up the perfect middle of that perfect triangle with the perfect middle of that perfect square. And you got to repeat that on 4 sides, and then you're going to hope that you've got that perfect seam allowance off of that point right there. That's a lot of perfection. That's a lot of human element that's not going to happen. So even just with a square and a square option 1, and tumbling blocks. This is all you need to make tumbling blocks. We've got a little short reel on all of our platforms right now that is showing a Christmas tree and a tumbling block. And this right here is all you need for it. Go to the website and get those patterns. And if you're using the square and a square tool and you're struggling, if that's what you're talking about, send me some pictures. Send it to the hotline. There is no reason to not be getting this good work. And some of the reels and videos that I've done here lately is like, I am here to help you. I'm offering myself with the quilt line, with the free webinars.
Just reach out and help.
There is no reason not to learn it, not to improve, not to up your game. Like, let's look at some of those other ones that, just apply yourself. Like one lady the other day, I was helping on the text line, and she sent me her work, and there was room for improvement on it. And so I gave her a few tips on what to do. And so she came back and made some comments, about making sure she understood what I was telling her, and then I came back and I said, try again and send me pictures. She tried it again and sent me pictures, and so much improvement. So much improvement. She was excited.
Sometimes people, their speed, need to slow down.
Be a little bit more accurate with your.
So you can get more accurate with that when you're sewing it. Don't go blazing through.
And hold on. Sometimes they at the end you're not holding on, and then a machine will.
Depending on machine.
Depending on machine.
Some really have a tendency
make sure that you can hold on so it's straight all the way to the end.
And Kathy uses a stiletto a lot of times when she gets down to the end.
Yes,
I do too.
That's my fault. I'm always looking ahead.
If there's a thickness there, that stiletto helps guide it
absolutely.
in there. So this one says, so I have little videos on the Facebook page, and I call them In My Sewing Room, because it's just whatever I'm doing, I'll hook the camera up and I'll show you what I'm doing. It's not in the studio, and it's not edited and all of that. And she says, In My Sewing Room videos are so much fun and extremely helpful. She said, I'm at the point in my square and a square learning that I'm going for a higher level of perfection. I've tried to take notes and absorb all of this that you have taught. And then this one is from one of our new students. She says, this 77-year-old spring chicken has just discovered a whole new world of joy and creativity. And it just does my heart so good. Even after 50 years of quilting, how exciting to have found you in this fabulous community. Having a new adventure is a welcomed relief from health issues and world issues. Joining you and the rest of the community is my happy space. And we have a private Facebook page for Quilt Club Week, a private page for our premium members. And I'm so proud of all of them because they're so helpful, they're so encouraging, they're so nice. I go to some of these other public platforms, and someone will show something or say something, and there'll be so much, I'm going to say negativity in there, that how in the world can someone even ask a question and say something? They're intimidated because someone's going to came back and give them a little slap on it. And then this one, she shows a picture of her Fly Me to the Stars, and she says, my second king size is pieced together. I've learned so much. You truly can become the quilter you've always dreamed of. And that's kind of my little saying I always say. Believe in yourself and you will achieve it. Thank you, Jodi and Steve. So behind our camera and all of our technology and our website and everything is Mr. Steve, and he's there to, you know, I'm not a technology person. I don't like to push buttons and all of that. And so if you need help with technology and learning how to get in and watch all this stuff, just email us and Steve will do a video for you and show you how to navigate and work through all of that. Let's see.
And just do it. Just try it.
Just jump out there and do it.
I can't do
just
that.
Start.
No, if you keep saying I can't, no, you can't.
Yes, right.
Just say I'm going to try
I can
it.
do
I'm
this.
going to push this button. What happens? What happens when I do this?
Yeah.
Okay. And you know, I'm learning a lot of new things about technology that
with
I
your
didn't know.
machines.
Yeah.
So
You know.
and that's good
And
for
around,
our brain.
even around the house, you know, okay, the cable goes out. Now what do I do?
Where's the password?
Where's the passwords?
Yeah.
Where's
Yeah.
the, you know, do I unplug? You know, it's always unplug first and plug it back in to see if it comes up. That's my
Sometimes we all need a reboot, don't we?
reboot. That's right. You got to reboot. We all need that reboot. That's right.
This one says, I just wanted you to know that I am having so much fun working on my log cabin from your settings class that you did last fall. Yes, I did have one I started about 25 years ago. And yes, it was in a box stored. I never finished because it wasn't coming out well and the fabrics weren't good. So this is another thing is that, you know, we talked about the difference in a UFO and a WIP. So a UFO.
UFO is unfinished project, and it's usually
25 years.
Yeah, 25 years or
years.
more that it's been
One
sitting
that
in
you're
the box.
bored with, you're tired,
Yeah.
and you don't like
You
it.
don't
For
like
some
it.
reason, it's not going together.
Yeah.
So
And so you put it away.
And so since it's been there for 25 years, you're probably not
Not
really
gonna-
Interested in doing
yeah.
it. Yeah.
So get rid of it.
Yes.
Yes. So
Tear
it'll-
apart the fabrics, put them back in a, or
them in
give them
Yes.
away. Or give them away.
Give it away. You
Yeah.
know?
make do, use it up, do without.
There you
That's
go.
right. That's
And
right.
a WIP is a work in progress. And what's the difference in that over that?
That's the one that you're working on, that you have ready to go. Whenever you need a project to work on, that's what you pull out and you work on it. You know, a lot of times, you know, I work on two projects at the same time.
Oh, really? Some people have 17, only 2?
Well, I mean, I'm sewing on 2 projects at the
moment,
same time. No, when they see my video of our rooms, they'll see what's
How
down
many
there.
projects you
So
have?
in
Yeah.
Quilt
You
Clips,
know.
they both have moved and have new sewing rooms. So we filmed the sewing rooms of their new locations, and that will be in Quilt Club Week this year.
And if you only join for those,
Those are-
that's
yes.
probably going to be worth
Yes.
your money.
Yeah.
But you know, I always have one over that I've working on that's easy. So I use that as my leaders and enders for when I'm working on the
And another,
main project.
And so my scrap
That's your
organization and what I'm doing, that's always my work in
Right.
progress.
Right.
I'm excited about it. I am coming back to it.
to it.
I don't feel guilty. It may
Right.
like I said, it may take me 18 months or 2 years, but it's not because I'm not excited about it and it's
No.
in a box for
You're
25
working
years.
on it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
a little bit at a
Yeah.
time, but it's still there and you still want to do it.
She's got a comment about you guys in here.
Oh,
So-
dear. Oh, dear.
So let's see what she says. She says that it was in a box for 25 years. I never finished it because it wasn't coming out well and the fabrics weren't great. And she said, I've learned to use good quality fabrics. And she says, anyway, I just want you to know how much I love your fabric. And, you know, people sometimes are scared to buy fabric online,
Right.
but don't be scared of ours. It's
No.
top quality,
Oh, it
is good quality.
premium fabrics, and you won't have to worry about the dyes or the qualities or raveling or any of that. Let's see, how much I love your fabrics and your teaching on the log cabin. Also, just a thought, it would be great if you and Kay and Kathy and possibly Sherry, another teacher that we have that helps us, would be interested in showing us how to use quilt blocks to create a sweatshirt jacket. So
Oh.
next year,
Oh, that's a possibility.
sweatshirt
Is that my
jacket. that's
challenge?
Yeah, there's your
yours. Yes,
challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is
yeah.
yours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And she says, I love all the square and square tips and have a great day. So, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so let's do our half square. Okay, we have a question and we'll do some half square triangles. Says, what about bias edge?
We get that
Well,
question all the
look
time.
at the quilts. Do you see a problem? Do you see an issue? Because the human element is all done in that basic square, it's just all removed. And there are different ways that we press and different techniques that we do. But let me tell you this, there's 3 things that we have heard for 40 years. Is what about the waste of the fabric? You're trimming those corners wrong. And what about the bias edge? And if you'll look in other magazines and books and stuff, people are not really worrying about the bias edge. You know, once again, quality of fabric is important. The way that you press is important. If you do wash your fabric, you've got to put a starch back in it. But if you're using it off the bolt and it's a good fabric, it should be fine. But also, you know, to me, my fabric is my friend. I want to treat it nice. You know, if I have a friend and I'm constantly doing this, that friend's not going to react well. So if I have a fabric and I'm constantly overhandling it and not doing right with it, it's not going to react well to it. Cotton was alive at one time, so you have to treat it nice, and it will treat you nice. But let me tell you, if you're just like, I'm not doing it, you can still do the square and a square system. You can cut triangles just like we have on our little tails here. And you can put the triangles on the side, do over-cutting on that triangles, and use the ruler to trim it up, and use the charts. It's all the same, whether you do a strip or whether you cut the little triangles to go on the side. It doesn't matter. Everything still works the same. So it's up to you what you want to do. I say it's easier to use the strips and try it and see what you think and what you like. Now also on quilts, anytime, you know, I don't want the outside edges to be stretching, so even if I don't do a lot of a border, I'll put some type of little border or frame on it so that, because once the quilt gets big, and we talk about handling the quilt as it grows, how to do it. So once you get in there and learn all the little tips and hints, you're just going to be flying like a jackrabbit and not have... You're going to be a smoking needle, just like our shirt says.
And I remember we used to say that you're sewing
in the straight.
And sewing and pressing before you cut. And therefore, once you've done the cutting, you're not moving it anywhere.
It looks good. I mean, does any of that look like you're going to have an issue with it? Now, the other thing is that 45 years ago when I first started, they were talking about how to sew strips together. First of all, you would cut a bias strip. So you're working. You're doing the human work in that bias strip. You're putting them together, and then you're coming in and cutting all of these out. Well, first of all, I like lots of fabrics and scrappy stuff, so that wasn't really great because you had to make so many. Yeah, and you're doing the work. You're doing the sewing, the cutting, and the pressing and the bias. So you're going to have that trouble. And I can tell you, they didn't look like this.
No.
They were still really
wonky,
crappy.
And they had to be.
And I had to make them bigger and overcut them and all of that to get it to work. So I love it, and it works. Okay, Crystal. Crystal says the square and square system is your friend for life. Yes, and Crystal has made some beautiful big quilts of all of them, but of that Flying of the Stars. And she's one that, if I remember correctly, Crystal, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm thinking that you spent some time struggling with getting everything down. But boy, once that light bulb came on, it's
kind of like a light bulb.
The whole house.
You have to work at it. It's like anything. It's you work at it and you start to perfect it. You really do.
Okay, I think that's all of the testimonies that we had that I was going to share today. Okay, let's go in and, Scotty. Hi, Scotty. Jodi's system has taught me the best way to put my scraps to use for beautiful quilts, not just crumb quilts. Yeah, yeah. Because, you know, can take these little pieces and go. Do you use spray starch after wash? You have to. If you wash your fabric, you've got to put that sizing back in there to work with it.
You don't wash yours.
I don't. I use my fabric and I don't wash it.
No. And I use a lot of Jodi's fabrics plus other fabrics, and I don't wash mine.
No.
To me, that takes a lot of time. You put it in the washing machine, you gotta put it in the dryer, then you gotta iron it, and that's when I'm ready to start something. I pull it and I'm ready.
Ready to go.
I don't want to mess with washing it.
So I will put a disclaimer on there that fabrics have changed in the way that they're produced. And so anything that's been made in this century of 2000 and plus, and it's a quality good brand of fabric, then you're going to be fine without washing it and the dyes messing up.
But if you're using,
you can also do it.
Quilt shop quality.
Quilt shop quality,
correct.
yes. If you've got, I have some fabric that was back in the 80s and 90s that I had bought that I've used little scraps of here and there, and I'm like, I'm not doing that because it's not the same quality. The dyes are not set the same.
Right.
It's just not good.
It's just not working.
So if you're worried, if you do have an old one or one you're not sure about the brand, just take little pieces, get 2 different jars, put warm water in both of them. So let's say we have a red and a white.
Right.
So put
that seems to be the red.
Yeah.
So put the red scrap in the jar, put the white one in the jar, shake them up, and let them see what happens.
Right.
So then when you pick this one up that had the red one in it, if your water's turned pink, then that fabric is probably
going to run.
You're going to have trouble with it forever. Don't
no
use
matter
it.
What. Yes.
Give it away or make something that's not going to be like a quilt.
Right.
Now, if you're like, man, I really want to know, I really want to use this.
Yeah.
Take a new little red one, put it in the jar with your white that you're using, shake it up, wait 20 minutes, 45 minutes, pull the white one out.
Yep.
If the white is still white, they're
good to
friendly.
go.
But if this white is not white and it's turned pink, then they don't have a friendship that's going to last.
Right. I did that. I made a quilt and it was from older fabrics, from an older kit that I had, and I washed it and it was like, oh, now it's all pink. So what I did, I went on and I went to Pinterest and okay, how do you do it? And there was a formula: Dawn dishwashing soap and salt.
Oh.
And I put it in my bathtub, warm water. You put it in there, put the Dawn in there. Probably, I mean, you can Google it how to take bleeding fabric. And I did that. Squished it around, left it in there overnight. The next morning, I took it out, and I thought, well, okay. So I did it again, and then, like after that time, there wasn't very much pink in there, and it took all of the pink out of my white.
Good.
And it brought it, you know.
Yeah, that's great. There's also it's on our website, Steve, that little bottle of stuff that you can order from Amazon. No,
that stuff
it's
that
in
you
the knitting
gave us.
world. The knitting world uses it.
I didn't
and
think about using
it. Will take line out of a white tablecloth.
Yes.
So, and you don't have to wash it. So if you have something that you're not ready to wash it and you just want to put it on the spot. I've actually had grease on shirts of some of mine and Steve, and I've used it even after they were dried.
Wow.
And it's
that's great.
Out.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
it's like it starts with it. It's like EU something. I think we have it on the website. Eucala, yeah, and it's on the website. You can get it from Amazon. Okay, we have a question.
Well, I have the comment and then 2 follow-ups.
Okay.
Same person.
Yes, I very well did struggle. Crystal says yes, but she kept at it and has her beautiful quilt. But I was determined to learn the system, and when I did, I have not stopped. I'm currently working on Revolving Star.
Oh, I love
Revolving
that one.
Star is 97 pieces in a 12-inch block. It's like a carpenter's wheel. It's beautiful.
Can you read the rest?
No, after Revolving.
And have turned into OCD about my scant points and seams.
And she said she now has the ability to be that perfectionist and be OCD about her seam allowances and her points matching the way that they should. Everyone can become the quilter they dream of. That's right. That's what I always say is you can become the quilter that you've always dreamed of. Yeah. Right. Thanks, Crystal. That's great testimony. And I've seen your work and you've texted me and stuff, and you certainly are a wonderful student and a
She is a smoking needle.
She can wear the smoking needle T-shirt.
Yep.
Okay, let's do.
we keep
here. Okay.
Keep deviating.
Let's talk about half square triangles for a minute, because those are in everything that we want to make. And one of the new things that we've done with half square triangles is we've got a firefly, and so now you can get like well, let's go this way. So look at the border. Can you down here on the end see that sawtooth border? I mean, the firefly method. This now becomes simple to do. All of these triangle units here and in the border. We do a new method called Firefly, so look up the Firefly video. we go in and show you everything from the Firefly book. And what I'm going to be teaching in some of my scrap stuff is I just want to make fireflies. I don't care what I do with them. I just want to make fireflies.
It's
pretty cool. When
cool.
we go to retreat this week, I'm just going to use my scraps and I'm just going to make fireflies. I'm not going to worry about the size I'm making. I'm going to look at my scraps and see what I can make. I'm going to make all these beautiful little fireflies, these half square triangles that are just all in a row, and then I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with them. So let's hold this quilt up right here because this is a firefly.
We deviated from the...
Yeah. Do what's exciting to you. I've got, those hen houses are so addictive.
Oh, yes. I want to do the hen
fireflies.
That's really what I want to do.
So see, when you have multiple triangle units in a row, normally you look at that and you shy away from it because you're like, man, that's just too hard, that's too much. Or even like this one with all the flying geese, you're like, oh, that's but once you learn the system and all the tips and hints that we have with it, and it's kind of like you can make 4 of these quilts and still not be, like tire of it, And so this is actually a scrappy quilt. And so we're going to talk about how to do an organized scrap, and that's going to be part of the Quilt Club week, if my scrap teachings that I do.
This year?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going to do some of it at camp this week.
Oh, okay, good.
I've got some students there, some guinea pigs, so we're going to do it. Okay, let's look at the trimming. Whether you're doing individual half square triangles or whether you're doing a firefly. So remember when we did our flying geese, we were cutting through those points, so we had to 2-step. So on the half square triangles, we're going to cut both directions through that square. Correct. So we have to 2-step all 4 corners. So kind of put the ruler on there so they can see it. It's just like we did here for our flying geese. Well, let's do that 2-step.
Okay.
Yeah, so see, when you put it in the point, it's a 2-step trim, just like we did here on the flying geese. But you're going to do it to all 4 corners because you're cutting through all 4 of those corners. So now you just come in here and cut this way.
Can we do it?
Mm-hmm. And don't cut the other way, but then you would come in here and cut this way and see how you have those half square triangles. So for the firefly, you're going to trim it like that, and you're just going to cut 1 time. So see, it's a rectangle, but it's not a perfect rectangle. A flying goose is a perfect rectangle, meaning if this is 2, this is 4. But you've got that seam allowance right there.
Yeah.
But on the firefly, we 2-stepped all of them, but you don't do that last cut. You keep them in what I call the firefly rectangle, and you sew together, and you can do up to 4 or 5 of these, and then you come in and cut them in half and see how you have them all in a row.
And they're all sewn.
And the thing about half square triangles besides making them is that after you get them made is you're trying to put them in the placement of your quilt. And there's only 1 side that's correct to sew it on. 3 are wrong. So do you know how many of those you're going to sew wrong?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, about 1/3 of them. But with the firefly, they're not going to twist. Once you have them,
all in a row,
they're all going to stay together. So I love the firefly. And we've got this one right here that, where did he go? So on this one, we see how they're going different directions. Let me bring it up a little bit. Okay, so on this one, see how we wanted the angles to go both directions? So this in the middle is a flying goose that's not cut.
Okay.
And then you put the firefly on the end and see how you have those angles going both directions. So in your quilt, so look right here, like see here in the middle of that border, we wanted the directions to go both directions from the middle.
Right.
So that's how we did that.
Oh, okay.
So just all these little tips and hints everywhere that you do. Did we have another question, Steve? So we got a few more quilts we're going to show.
Which book should I get first?
Okay, let's show the book. Let's show them down here what she should get. So we have a special right now. You can get free shipping, and you can save $5. Go in and get the original ruler, which is this one right here, and it comes with this book. Or the mini, or the mini.
Right.
Choose whichever one you want, and then get the reference book. And whether you get this for your $65 or whether you get this for your $65, you're going to save $5 and you're going to have free shipping.
Shipping.
Yeah, shipping is a big deal right now.
Yeah.
And go to squareandsquare.net to the free webinars and get going.
Started.
Put the quilt text line on there. As you have questions, send me a picture and ask that question and get going. We're here to help.
Don't be afraid. You know,
As
so
I've
many
said
are intimidated.
Yeah.
Oh, what if I mess up? Well,
So,
okay, so you mess
Try
up.
again.
Try again.
Yeah.
And you know, keep going. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
You know, cut a few extras. Yeah, those didn't work out. The dog interrupted me.
But
so.
look at how far you will
You've
come once you start the system and continue working with it.
All right, hang this one up here. And Kay, let's take this one down over here. Steve, do we have more questions or comments? I'll hold it while you roll it back.
Boy, Jodi.
I know it's a big one.
These are big ones. Oh, now on the back you can really see the machine quilting that I did on this. I don't know if you want to
Here, Steve, if you want to come over here for just a moment, then you can kind of see.
Look at that. Wow.
Isn't that beautiful?
Good job.
Let me go in tighter.
Because I like to use my top thread is the same color. My bobbin thread is the same color as my
It's the top thread. Then you don't have to adjust your tension at all.
My tension, and I don't.
And we have in our fabric line we have everyday checks, and I love putting the checks on the back of a quilt.
Yes.
I love it.
If you're doing that, you know, have a busy back or something that may not show the two different colors.
If you don't want to. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, do you want to tell us about this one, Kathy?
This is a constellation one, and all it is an option one, which we showed you how to do earlier, and flying geese, and it makes these beautiful stars, and it's the placement on an option one. Two sides are black and two sides are red.
And all of them are the same. It's just the way you turn.
It's just the way you turn them. Yeah, yeah. So you know, this one could fit into there or fit into there without.
And in Quilt Club Week this year, I think all three of us did the teaching on it. We talked about, like, in the original ruler, the little constellation quilt comes in there as one to make. So we talked about how to use the charts, make it bigger. This is a pattern and a kit on the website that we just loaded up, and so you can get it. And then this climbing geese,
cute little thing, yeah.
So it's a flying goose with a square on the side, but in the process of making them, the square is already on there. You don't have to cut a square and sew it on. It's already on in the way that we do it.
Yes.
And see how two opposite corners have, you know, the pieced border, the other two don't. You don't have to piece the whole thing.
No, you don't have to piece the whole. I think it looks nicer that way.
Yeah.
It's the yin and yang
always
thing.
Did that.
Yeah, we would do that
tried
a
to
lot
do that
on our borders.
Especially when we didn't have enough fabric to do the complete border. We'd do two sides with one color and the other two sides with a different color. And it just helped us with our fabrics.
And this is all of my patriotic fabrics, and you'll see some in this quilt over here too. This one is We the People. It comes in several different colors. We have the flags that come in several different colors, our everyday check, and then these are some of our red flags and our black flags on that. And then this one here, this one we in December on Facebook, just open to everybody, I did some marathon classes, and we're going to continue to do the marathons. People really liked them. So what it meant was, instead of, you know, like with a cooking show, you show your stuff and then you put it in the oven and then you bring it out and it's already done. You know, they have all the steps. In the marathons, you see the whole process being done. So we had like a 2-hour class on a Monday morning, a 2-hour class Monday afternoon, another 2-hour class Tuesday morning, and so they got to see the process of everything being done instead of a 2-second this, you know, thing. And so this is some of the We the People. So see here, you see it in the light, and here you see it here, our everyday checks. This one says Celebrate. So for those of you that don't know, America is going to be 250 years old in 2026. So we have all this patriotic fabric that helps us celebrate America's birthday, and we're just adding more quilts all the time with the fabric. And this one is actually, the pattern is called Moonlight Star. We did it in a black and orange and gold for like fall, and then we just switched up the fabrics to do this one. And you can see beautiful little flange.
No, not the orange
The
one.
moonlight one, no, I don't have it.
No.
Yeah, it's another big one. It's 100 by 100.
Yeah.
What is happening to me that all the quilts are big? Okay, so let's look down here at these, and after we've got a couple of quilts here, we're going to wrap things up. So if you've got questions or comments, get them in there. So one of you girls want to tell us about this one? This is one of our new ones. It's going to be at Quilt Club Week.
I love little table toppers. You know, I've become, I guess, a table topper because I have a couple tables. You know, this is just the
Milky Way Star.
Milky Way Star.
Friendship
or
Star.
Friendship Star. And these are just bars. So very simple. Half square triangles and squares.
Option 3s.
You know,
Yeah.
option 4s.
Fours.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Option 4s.
Sorry.
So it's a very simple, and it's just repeated.
Yeah.
Opposites.
Yeah.
And
It looks like a
the
really
split-
quick.
Yeah, it's a split rail with like a basket weave, because
Oh,
you've got
yeah.
one
Yes.
row
Oh,
going
yes.
up and then the other row. Well, just the setting,
yeah,
you know, makes
yeah.
it look different.
Yeah.
And of course, if you want it larger, just to add more rows.
Yep.
This is the We the People text here in the red, celebrate. Now, even on this one, you may think, oh, it's a split rail, and oh, it's just this. I know how to do that. Do you know how to make this, and this all at one time? Because we're going to show you how to do it all in one time, and that's part of the firefly process.
Oh, okay.
It's when you're having multiple triangles together, or you need these squares on the end of them, just like with the climbing geese.
Well,
back
I'm going to
in
learn
that one.
something new.
We're going to have her show us that at
Yes.
the retreat next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love this one.
And of course, we did it in the red and the tan, but you could
You could
use
do it in
the darker
The black or
We
the navy.
People, and that would be
yeah.
really pretty with
So many options.
Multiple
Oh,
colors.
options.
Options.
There you go.
And we
Okay.
started
look at
out
this
when
one.
we first started, there's what?
7.
7.
And we're up to 49.
Yeah.
Almost
49?
50.
Wow, I better figure
And
out
that's-
what's
yeah.
between that.
And remember, guys, it's one tool.
Yes.
One
Yeah,
tool.
you never have to
That's
use
right.
another
Every
tool.
option, every triangle unit in any size, and obviously any color.
Yes.
Yep.
I always thought that was a funny question when people would ask me, well, can I make it in a different color? Well, yes, you may.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so this is another one where we've mixed some of the patriotic fabrics together, and tell it.
Well, I'm
Dissect this
looking
one
at
for
it
us,
for the
yeah.
first time, so
Dissect
yeah.
this one for us.
We have a
Okay,
little
so we
nine
have
patch.
9 patches
And so
in
Jodi
here.
has a great
Nine
9 patch
patch.
ruler that helps you to
Perfect.
Perfect. They're perfect. You're not struggling with
Yep.
odd ones, and
You
they're
can
going to
look
come
up
in
a video
perfect.
for
Yeah.
the 9 pack.
Right.
And half square triangles. Did you do these as
big-
fireflies?
Fireflies.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and then bars and flying geese.
So a really simple one.
It is simple. That's all it is.
It's
It's
so
just
pretty, and
yeah.
and it can use your scraps.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of your
once again,
leftover
you're-
pieces, because it's not really taking a lot of fabric to do this one. I love this one. Is this in a pattern now?
It's gonna. We haven't
It's
written it
gonna
yet,
be.
but it will be. It'll be one we're teaching at Quilt Club Week.
Oh, I
Okay.
have to wait that long?
Well, no, but I'll send it to you
You're
to proof.
special.
and then
Okay,
you can-
okay,
then you
okay.
can,
Do that.
yeah.
Do that. Yes, yes.
And of course, if you made this, it's a big block. So
Yeah.
if
It
you want a
is.
bigger quilt, just make another one,
Yep.
another one,
Another one.
another
Yep,
one.
it could be big
a
blocks.
bigger quilt.
There you go.
All right, Kathy. So you've got one
This one I
here.
know.
Yeah, tell us
Yeah,
about
this
this.
one
Okay,
you know.
this is one
You want to hang it?
I'll be introducing at, sure, because then I can talk all about it. Okay. In Quilt Club Week, I'll be introducing this one. It is America, and as the machine quilting part of the what I specialize in, I decided I wanted to do an applique, and I wanted to teach a blanket stitch. And I started out with a pattern that someone else designed, and I just wasn't loving it. I don't know what it was, and I pulled out. I knew I wanted applique, but I also wanted blocks because I'm more of a piecer than an appliquer. and I decided that I would take some of the blocks that Jodi had been teaching with. I haven't quite made it quilts out of the blocks, so I called them my orphan blocks. This was an orphan block. This one was flying
like
to
here.
the stars. And these were leftover blocks and the log cabins. So I knew I wanted the log cabins there, and I wanted this in the center. And then I just kind of started on my computer to look for things that are Americana and, you know, just words, and I wanted some words in there and everything. That, yeah, the apple. See, and one eaten. Isn't that cute?
That's so cute. I didn't notice that earlier.
So on my segment in Quilt Club Week, I will be showing how to do the blanket stitch applique. And this thing here is a specialty thread. So I will show how to do a specialty thread. And basically, I'm not teaching the whole quilt. Of course, I'm not teaching the blocks or anything like that, but the applique, I've done several different things with them and stuff. So lots of fun. Also with the wording, I show you how to pull it off the internet and reproduce it onto.
Blow it up and get the size you want.
Pick your font.
And so you can.
So this one was really kind of fun to teach. It's something different. Now I've got to quilt
about
it.
the
Sorry.
USA one. That one's cool.
Oh, the USA one. Yes, that was. I pulled it off the internet, and I didn't like. It had a different font for the God bless him. God bless the yes, and. So I just changed out the font that I wanted and repeated. And this has 3 layers. So I had to applique the blue, I had to applique the cream, and I had to applique the red. So that was a lot of work.
Right.
And these are
it's
so
worth it.
little. So I'll
Yes.
give you little tips and hints on how to do it, and the applique, the blanket stitch. And
Show them the baseballs.
Oh, you like the baseballs, don't you?
The baseball. Because that's.
Well, I had some fabric. My son was into baseball, and I had some fabric with bats on it, so I just cut out the
And if you
bats.
didn't want to applique it, if you had a piece of fabric that was baseball,
Yeah,
or
just
something, you could just put a piece of fabric
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
You know, same way with these.
Yes.
You could just.
Yes. Oh, and the heart, the heart, doing the heart. This is pieced.
Oh.
This I didn't take it. It was Jodi's fabric, and I did the red and the cream, and I pieced it, and so I had the pieced fabric, and then I had just one piece of fabric that was on Jodi's line, and I sewed them together, and then I took and appliqued cut out the applique and stuff. So that was really kind of fun.
Creative.
I did, you know. Once I got going on it, I just got so excited about it, and these are balloons. Believe it or not, I don't have the ribbons on because I'm going to make them 3-dimensional. I'm going to do all of my quilting first and then add my embellishments on it. So it was, once I got going on it, it was really a lot of fun. So
And all the eagle heads are going the correct way.
they're all going the correct way. Yes, that was a boo-boo I did, not this quilt, but another quilt and stuff. So come and join me on that. That should be a lot of fun.
So she talked about being creative, and I really got creative in the process of it. But she, you know, you use different snippets of things that you like and then put them together. So you were looking at how we did the log cabins in the corners on Fly Me to the Stars.
Yes.
And so you did that and put the little stars in them. And then this is from Love of Country that we did several years ago in the fall. We showed some little Milky Way stars with the eagle heads in it. And of course, this is some of our patriotic fabric that we have. And then you added your own touch to it. And then this one, you got the idea from that one and thought, I like that in the middle. But you added your own little touches.
I added
and switched
bat wings
them up.
to it. Yeah, so
Bat wings are, see this flying goose with this square in here? That's our bat wings. That's one of our new ones that we've been working on this spring semester. We've got bat wings, butterflies, dragonflies, and lily pads.
Yeah. Those are fun little names. Those are so cute. And I love my truck.
Yes,
My truck was
I
so
love the
cute. I
truck.
love the truck. So
And you can find, you know, all these little motifs, you know, on different websites or Pinterest and
Spark your creativity.
Yeah.
This
yeah,
is
it really is.
our
And it went
what
together.
can you do?
It went together easy because it's a grid.
Right.
Which Jodi
did.
talked about at one time. It's a grid.
quilt.
So I put this section together, and then this is another middle section right here, and then the bottom section.
Right.
So it's easy to put together too. It's just
and you can
fun.
see she's added little strips if they weren't the correct size of
Yeah.
block. What we call a coping strip.
Yeah.
You add an oversized piece of fabric around it, then you trim it to the size that you need.
The other thing great about a coping strip, of course, you can use it for sashing on a quilt too,
Right.
that we taught in Farmer's Wife, but it makes the block float, so therefore it doesn't come in and
Interfere with,
and get all lose some of its shape or design because it starts
It's
in
more
fringing.
you see this and you see this. It's not together.
And it gives me a great spot to do some quilting on it and stuff. So
And this is our cream flag, our eagle flag.
the checks.
The checks, all of those are ones that
So,
you can get on the
you've got that in
website.
your stash. A lot of these are, the geese are from the older, from your previous lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think I had like one done. It was in the orphan box, and I went, oh, well, that would be nice to put that in there.
Yeah. So I'm going to give you some information here as we close. So you can go to squareandasquare.net, and that is the teaching website. We have the free webinar section with tons of hours in there. I mean, I'm going to say over 1,000 hours, but
Probably.
yeah. And then we have the Quilt Club Week section, which you can go in and watch past years. That is a subscription. I'll give you information on how to sign up for that. You can sign up at squareandasquare.net. You can sign up at squareandasquare.com, either one of those. And then we also have the Premium Club, which is if you join Premium Club, then you get all of it. You get our semesters, you get our Quilt Club Week, then you're notified when we do like the lives and all of that. So that's and really that's the best bang for your buck.
Absolutely.
With
Absolutely.
it. You can also buy just a semester. We had a lady asking about Farmer's Wife about buying just the semester for whatever quilt that we've done. You can do that, but it's the value to just buy the Premium Club, and that way you're part of everything. All of the patterns you just download, that comes with it. You don't have to pay extra for it.
Right.
And then also when we get our new fabric in, about 9 months or a year or so, when we get our fabric in, then we do a promotion on our fabric, and that's always the best time to get the fabric. Of course, you have first pick over all of it. We haven't run out, and that's also the best price is when we first get it. So, and then you can also go to the website, either one, and sign up with your email, and then when you do that, then you'll get notifications. That way you don't miss out on anything that we do.
Do you do image transfers? Here's a question.
That might be Kathy from Bev. Will there
Will
be
there be
help?
help to learn how to take images from the computer? Oh, yes. I did a segment.
You did a segment.
I did a
for
segment
Quilt
on
Club
that.
Week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And I think I also put in there some where you can go, Google
some locations.
or things like that. Yeah, you just want to get
For you.
Beautiful quilt, Miss Kathy.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Pamela. Yeah. Also, don't forget about the Quilt Text Hotline, 817-713-2879. I always say whenever you feel lost or stranded, that's the time to not get mad, but to take a picture and text it to us.
Phone a friend.
Phone a friend. That's time to phone your teacher. Phone a teacher.
She's your friend.
Yes, so that you can get help with it. Sometimes, when we work through something, we learn in that working process.
Right.
But whenever you get to that point that, you're going to throw it against the wall, you for sure need to text. Don't struggle.
No, don't struggle.
Yeah.
No.
Squareandasquare.com is where we have our products. You can email from there. But if you have a quilt question, I prefer you do it on the quilt text line because of the pictures.
Right.
And then if you have a question about shipping or a fabric or technology or whatever, the emails are best for that. But we're here to help. We're here to have fun. We're here to help. We're here to make things fun. So come and join us and join in, and enjoy the comfort of your own home and your own sewing room.
Yep.
You don't have to pack everything up. and go to take a class. And you know, you may plan on taking this class for 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever, and then that day arrives and life has happened. Either you don't feel good, your dog has to go to the vet, you know, something, and either you're not capable of taking the class or you're just mentally not there to take the class. And
you can pull it up
later.
Yes.
And with all of our stuff online, you get to watch it over
again
and
again. Feel like I can't absorb it. Like we was talking, our brain could be just full that particular day, and you just can't. So I'm just going to wait. I'll rest, and the next day.
And as it is, we can go all the way back to 2020 on the Quilt Club Week things.
Quilt Club Week 2020, and then Premium Club goes back another 4 or 5 years.
So I mean, it's
lots of information.
Wonderful network. We love Jodi. You know, we appreciate her and Mr. Steve so much. And when we're here, they take care of us. And Steve gives me my coffee in the mornings and
cooks breakfast.
And because I'm not used to that anymore. I don't have anybody to cook breakfast for me. It's like, what's out there? Okay.
All right. Any last minute questions or comments from anybody? Also, a couple of weeks ago, it was in April, about 30 days ago, I did a sample sale. And so you can go to the website, put in sample sale or quilt top sale or whatever, and you can see we had 22 quilts. I think we only have about 6 or so left. Go in there, search sale, and get a good deal on some quilt tops.
Right. And the ladies is coming for quilt retreat next week.
We'll see you.
We're ready.
Oh, we're so excited.
We're
be
so
a couple of days.
We're packing the cars and ready to head out on Monday morning.
And when we finish with this, we're done with our filming. We're done behind the screen here, so we're working on.
And then we have to go home.
And then you have to go back home after.
Yeah, but then I get to go on a cruise.
Oh,
then,
you
so
do.
After that, a week later.
Very good.
Thank you for joining us. The main thing is, remember, we're here to help. We're here to teach. We want to help you have fun and become the piecer you've always dreamed of.